everybody, welcome to McFarland Minutes, our weekly podcast hosted by Natalie McFarland, me, and founder and president of McFarland Productions, and Scout Foster, our outreach marketing manager. In these episodes, you can expect deleted scenes, in-depth campaign reviews, project highlights, marketing concepts, book reviews, and a deep dive into the creative process at Off Your Rocker Films, and of course, invaluable lessons on mentorship, leadership, and the business of it all. We are so excited to be releasing our episodes every Sunday as your soft launch to Monday. Hey everybody, welcome to McFarland Minutes, your soft launch to Monday, episode 20. Let me tell you that the person that is joining me today is one of my favorite people that I've ever had the opportunity to work with. I mean, every single company I've ever worked with, every single job I've ever worked on, Tim Kimsey is the man. Tim and Robert, who wasn't able to join us today, but Tim and Robert run Audio Knuckle Busters, and they are our counterparts when it comes to audio. We don't do major video projects, major production without these two, because audio will kill you if you screw it up. And these two are absolutely my go-to, can count on them every time. Tim, thanks for being here.
Well, first of all, let me just say thank you for those wonderful accolades. I'm just a kid out of Texas that had a vision for audio. I didn't really know what that meant when I was a kid, but here we are, a little bit later on in life for me. Let me just say the good Lord has been wonderful. He has taken me to all places on the planet, and I have been extremely blessed. And I will also say extremely blessed to get to encounter the things that led me to meeting you and being able to put Robert Bogart and myself in your care. And when I say that, we were just talking right before we kind of signed on with the podcast about scheduling and the difficulties that sometimes present themselves when doing that. So, in short, let me just say thank you for allowing us to be a part of this. What Audio Knuckle Busters really is all about is being a service provider for independent filmmakers who have a desire to make their audio an important part of their presentations, whatever that might be. It could be short form, it could be long form. When I say long form, we're talking documentary style. It could be a movie form, things of that nature. And so we have a long history behind us in the sense that I grew up in a recording studio. When I say grew up, at the tender age of 19, I was actually accepted to be a gopher, what is called a gopher. And I think everyone knows what that really means. That means that you go for this and go for that. And you're taking out the trash and, sweeping the floors, vacuuming the floors, mopping the floors, whatever that might mean. And kind of fast forwarding into where we are today, let me just give you a little bit of a background with Robert. Robert was a student of mine at a institution, a audio institution, where Robert wasn't real sure what he wanted to do with his life. And once again, I think the good Lord kind of stepped in, and for whatever reason, and I told him this, I said, don't ask me why I choose you, but you're going with me. You're going to go with me. And we've just been very, very good. It is very fair to say not only good friends along the way, because that's what we do. We become friends over all this, but it definitely started off in a professional environment, and having an understanding that as service providers, audio service providers, we need to be cognizant, if you will, of the needs that are out there. And so, without diving deep into the weeds with all of that, that means anything from, which, by the way, we love getting to do this with you, Natalie, is hopping on an airplane with some equipment and going and being able to grab audio from the different places that we get to go.
That's interview and ambient too. Like the sound design is yours on most of these projects we do together. So, you guys do a fantastic job of creating this almost like sound effect library, but things that you guys are actually producing yourselves and collecting. And we've done that through several projects for sure.
It is. Well, we figure that that while we're there, first of all, every ambient effect that is there, it's not going to be reproduced over and over again. It's a once in a lifetime thing. And I'll dive into that right there. Just the experience of going into I'll use Colorado as one of our
I think we're thinking of the same one, actually.
but there are things that will never be captured again. It's never going to happen again.
hmm
And to be able to put if you will, kind of a timestamp on that and go, I'm going to save this forever, or at least as long as I'm on this planet.
hmm
We've got something there. And,
Yeah.
and once again, this is something that not everyone understands. That great filmmaking, it. I can't do my job without great filmmakers, but I also would like to believe that great filmmakers have an understanding that that film is beautiful pictures until audio gets added to it.
hmm
And, there's all kinds of behind the scenes things that have to take place
hmm
for that to become, if you will, the magic that we all hope to hear and see along the
Yeah,
way.
yeah. I honestly think that like a film without effective sound design, whether that's music beds, whether that's, ambient audio, whether that's interview audio, without an effective sound design, a full sound design, you might as well just throw it in the trash, right? Like the experience is beautiful, but is it moving? Is it impactful? Is it emotional? Can it change your mind? Can it change your mindset maybe? No, I don't think you can do that without audio. And as somebody who's done the run and gun, run around one camera, try to do the whole thing yourself kind of person, like I've been there, learned a lot from you, right? But the reality is that one singular human on site just really can't do that well. You're going to fail somewhere. And audio is the easiest to slip by you as you're doing that as a one man person, right? So being able to do these productions where we have somebody dedicated to direction and people management and crew management, right? And we've got camera operators who are focusing on camera. They're worrying about, is the shot in focus? Is it framed well? Is the lighting correct? Are all my settings right? Right? Is there a way this shot could be better? There's someone dedicated to lighting. There's someone dedicated two someone's usually at least, dedicated to audio, right? There's a person who is doing mic handling. There's a person who's doing monitoring and recording, and that is for us. That is you and Robert for sure, and of course the many others who you guys work with as well. We've had the good opportunity to work with many of you, but you and Robert for sure are a huge part of that. And films would be nothing if it weren't for sound. I don't see anybody like renting the old silent films, right? Unless you're in like a film studies class. You're probably not just like sitting down to enjoy a silent film, right? You're probably also not going to listen or watch a film that's difficult to hear, right? The thing that my mom has hearing loss, and she'll be watching a movie and the background noise, like the mix, right, between the background noise and the dialogue can be off. And she's like, I don't know what's happening right now. So sound can be a game changer, whether it's in TV commercials, which we've done together, social media clips, we've done a few, long format films, series of films. We've done all those together. But before we jump into our projects that we've done together, because I think that there's some really cool stories there. But before we jump into that, and you hate it when I do this, but can you tell me some of your professional background? I met you in 2014 or 15, which, man, what a just a crazy opportunity that was. I didn't even know what I was walking into when I walked into it, but I happened to be in Texas working for Wilkes Ranches, and we stopped by Pillar Studios, I think it was at the time. It's changed names a couple of times, but not changed owners. But Seven Pillar, walk in, and the client of mine was just doing a quick little voiceover for a piece for NCBA, and I had never been in like a legit recording studio. Like that was my first experience. And I walk in and here's Tim, like Dr. Evil, right, with this huge spread of just audio board, right? Things that I had only seen in movies or in photos. And like I was familiar with, what it does, but how it does, I don't know. So this whole thing was just like this big shiny mystery. And I meet Tim and we do this little voiceover deal, which like should have been really kind of no big deal, but it was like this whole production done very well. And then we walk out and Kevin goes, he's Grammy nominated, right? I think I left my jaw on the parking lot right there because Tim, you are the most humble person and most incredible person and just so welcoming and easy to work with. But your accolades like are you're sort of unassuming, right? Like that's I love your humbleness. I love your ability to just focus on every single project as it is. But anyway, I want to hear a little bit about your story, which is something that I know you don't love to brag about, but you are just so impressive to me, and I learn something new every time we talk. Can you tell us a little bit about your personal history?
Wow, that's hard to live up to that. So first and foremost, I'll just say it like this: I give all of the credit to God above. Period. I started out as a I started out as a choir boy. Believe it or not, this goes even further back than just the getting into the studio thing. As a young kid, I have been blessed my whole life. At the age of 11, I went into my first recording studio. Didn't know what they were doing inside that little room that they had going on over there. Didn't know what all those buttons and knobs did. But I had a feeling that I was going to be, even at the age of 11 or 12, that I was going to be a part of the recording community. Maybe not as a artist on what we call the other side of the glass there, but I wanted to be a part of that. Fast forward a few years along the way, it just kind of dove into this thing. First of all, let me just say, no schooling was available to learn how to be a recording engineer. That's the thing that kind of gets thrown to the wayside these days is that we've got schools everywhere that teach how to become a recording engineer, how to produce, how to do this, how to do that. And my take, kind of diving deep into all of this, is that my schooling was that you can have one master, and you can do lots of things okay, but you really need to focus in on the one thing that you want to be really good at. We've all heard that expression. You can have maybe one master that you're going to serve.
Yeah.
And so
I
for
like to
me,
say the guy for the thing, right? Just be
that's
the
correct.
guy for the thing.
That's correct. And so, in short, that was my focus as a teenager when I finally was acknowledged that here's this kid that knows nothing about the recording industry. What are the chances of getting your foot in the door? Now, guys, this was back in the 70s, so late 70s, very early 80s. And I was denied several times from the very same facility. But for whatever reason, I just didn't give up. I just kept writing. And this was before cell phones, and a phone call from my little town into the Metroplex was a long distance call. I'm a teenager, don't really have a job, looking to actually not have just a job, but a career. This is something that I desperately wanted to do. All
Mm-hmm.
right, so fast forward into all of that. Again, giving all the credit to the Lord above, he just kind of orchestrated it this way to where the owner of that facility eventually, I think it was the second or third letter that I had sent to that recording studio, that he goes, "Get this kid in here." And from there, it just started ramping up into this thing to where all my bubbles were being burst at that point. And what I mean by that was I walked in the very first day, um, and he said, "Do you have a girlfriend?" I said, "Yes, I do," very proudly. "Yes, I do." And he goes, "That's great. You need to lose her.
She's got to go.
She's got to go." Well, with kind of laughing about it now at the time, but he was absolutely correct about all of that. And really, what he was saying is that if you are going to make this a career, make it something that is a part of you for the rest of your life, you're going to have to do some deep soul searching here for a minute. And it turned out to be the correct thing to do. She wasn't able to hang with long hours, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
thing is being in production, um, whomever that might be, and or the collective group of people, whomever that might be, it has everything to do with believing in what they are doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just a job. It is being involved with not only the project, but you get on a very personal level with the people that you're with.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you, as a kind of a global statement, pretty much every one of my colleagues that are out there, these are guys that I grew up with. These are people that uh, we worked on many sessions together. Every one of them will tell you, for every great session, you have maybe 1,000 really not so good. They
Sure.
don't, but along the way, we learn how to conduct the session to where it's going to be the most beneficial and successful as they can be. Now, with Robert, and you've asked me to kind of tell you my background very, very quickly. I went from a recording studio where we did commercial music for all kinds of commercials, anywhere from local, meaning the Dallas Fort Worth area, all the way to national television spots. So I learned from, in my opinion, some of the best that were out there because they were doing this every day.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I made my way into that heated seat, what we call, you got to heat the seat if you're going to be an engineer. You got to heat that seat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I made my way into that fairly quick. I think the owner of that studio saw that I was not going to take any prisoners. I was going to.
Drive, determination, want, desire, attitude, ambition, blind ambition, even better, right? That is, to me, 1,000 times more valuable than someone walking in already having the skills.
Absolutely. Now, we have to be very careful with that. And when I say we have to be careful with that, as I've matured, there's that word again, as I've
Hmm.
matured, I have learned that being an audio engineer, and it could be live sound, it could be in the studio, it could be a podcast engineer, it could be anybody who's production minded. I say we have to be careful with that because uh, I do feel like it is a young man's game. It is not. It is not for the meek at heart. It is not for somebody who is used to, I'm going to get up at 6 in the morning. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to come home. Be home by, 4:30 in the afternoon. Grab dinner, and then we're going to go to bed, rinse off, take a bath, get up and go, and rinse and repeat, as we say.
Hmm.
It's not that.
Hmm.
Um, but That being said, I've also experienced that the newcomers kind of coming in, there is a tendency to kind of go, well, what can, and once again, being very careful with this, what can this older guy over here teach us that has to do with today's technology? This is where Robert and I come together.
Mm-hmm.
I will admit to everybody, because I've got different plate spinning now, it's not the same as when I was in my 30s and 40s, or even 50s for that matter. I'm I'm doing more things that are dealing with people and making
Mm-hmm.
for sure that all the parts and pieces are in place so
Mm-hmm.
that we are set up for success.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Robert recognizes that. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
that having been said, I I'm finding that I'm doing more work in advising now than I
Mm-hmm.
am heating the seat.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that being said, is there a love loss for heating the seat and being there? I would do it every day. I just spoke with
Mm-hmm.
a horn player yesterday at church, and we've been together for the last 46 years. I've known this
Mm-hmm.
guy for 46 years. I said, "It's a little different now, isn't it?" And he goes, "Yeah, it is. It's." He goes, "We never thought that being back in the day when we were in the studio that this would ever come to an end."
Mm-hmm.
But times have changed. Now I'm kind of digressing here into the past, but let's move forward. I went from that recording studio in Fort Worth, Texas. The name of that was Buffalo Sound. I'm still very good friends with the owner. When I met the owner of that recording studio, he was 35 years of age. I was 19. It never dawned on me how much he had to believe in what he was doing to
Mm-hmm.
put that kind of money into a facility. If you
Mm-hmm.
think back in 79, 1980, over $1 million into a recording facility, that was a
Yeah.
lot of money back then.
Yeah, I'm 35 right now, and so me just kind of conceptualizing like could I put together a sound studio, like a recording studio, especially the way they were done in that time area, right? Like that was an investment by a long shot.
Well, and that was the thing. And of course, here's the big difference. Back then, if you were going to record, you had to go to a studio to do it
Sure.
professionally. That's where I cut my
You
teeth was.
still should. Let me just be clear. You still should. Like don't like you can do some demo stuff maybe on your own, but if you're going to do something professional, legitimate, you still should go into a studio.
I could not agree more. Now, here's the thing: is that a lot of folk along the way, and this is how, once again, how I was brought up in the studio environment. We are a service provider.
Mhm.
You are not the answer to everyone's problem,
Mhm.
but as a recording engineer, your job is to figure it out.
Mhm.
So we kind of learn along the way, the things that are not good for us to do, and then the things that are great for us to do.
Mhm.
So, from Buffalo Sound Studios in Fort Worth, and I can't say enough about that studio. It no longer exists. The owner obviously is very retired at this point.
Sure.
Um,
Well deserved, probably.
oh, very much so, very much so. But I learned things that make a difference to people, and the
Mhm.
difference, especially as a service provider.
Mhm.
Let's fast forward. Once again, this was a God thing. Um, a young man from the largest recording facility it is quite possible to say in the country at the time, but definitely within the Southwest. It was a place called Dallas Sound Lab. Extremely famous for some of the artists that made their way through there. I was asked if I would consider coming on board. That took me every bit of about 2 seconds to go, I'm there.
Did I answer too fast? Probably
Yeah.
should have been the response.
Maybe I should have asked a question or two. What all's involved with all of this? But all of that to say, I already knew. I'd already visited that facility. Did not know the owner. Did not know anyone there. And I want to say it was recording session that happened at Buffalo Sound, and it's really interesting how the dots get connected, very much like you and me.
Mm-hmm.
The person that was coming from Dallas Sound Lab had a session at Buffalo. And I could be wrong, but it's been a long time. But I want to say it was an Amy Grant session.
Cool.
And
Awesome.
he goes, "Hey man, you've been just awesome as an assistant with me. I could not ask for better. This has been great. Would you consider coming on board with us?" And I went, "Wow, yeah. Uh, let's set this up." So moving into all of that, I very nervous meeting this owner that I did not know. I just kind of knew the background of the studio.
Sure.
And within probably 15 minutes of that interview, I want to say, they were like, "You're going to become one of 5 of our guys that are here every day."
Mm-hmm.
And so moving into that, our chief engineer of Dallas Sound Lab was getting ready to make a big move into Los Angeles, where he became a longtime member with, let's see, lots of Hollywood stuff. Let's just say it like that. So he made the move, and the next thing I know, I become chief engineer of Dallas Sound Lab. And fast forwarding from there, probably within a year, I started getting to be a part of major label records. And this is something that folks here in the United States don't necessarily think about a whole lot, but there is a major market just south of our border here,
Mm-hmm.
known as the Hispanic market.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fortunate enough to become the right arm for one of the most major producers in Mexico at that point. All of that to say, I did not want to become stagnant in Dallas, Texas, where I was going to work every day there. And he proposed that I become independent. That way I could travel the world, and I did. But yet, Dallas, Texas has always been my home base. It's where I met Robert. It's where I've done lots of records. Some of those not done at Dallas Sound Lab, some done at other recording facilities. And I know the one you're smiling like you know the one I'm
I'm
about to
trying.
bring up.
I'm trying really hard not to blow the surprise. It's my favorite fun fact about Tim.
Love this guy to death. Looking back, I've made a huge mistake by not taking the points. But
Uh,
yes, I was one of many engineers that were a part of Vanilla Ice's Ice Ice Baby and that whole record.
I want our listeners to understand that every single time Ice Ice Baby comes on at some event that I'm at, I can see like a kid, like an 5 to 8 year old kid that still knows every single word to that song. And every single time I just want to send a video to Tim because it's like this song has outlived most songs ever. And the fact that Tim was a big, big part of it is just so stinking cool to me. So I just love it. I love it seeing like the little kids like know all the words, right? Like I've always loved the song. Who doesn't love Ice Ice Baby? But it also, just so fun to see the young ones singing it too.
I have a former student who is younger than my oldest son. He's 27 years old, and he does research, and he goes, "I know every lyric. I know every word to that
Yes.
song."
Yes. Stephanie Furlong, who works for us, who you've worked with many times, Tim, but Stephanie Furlong is a karaoke queen. Let me tell you, going out to karaoke bars with Stephanie Furlong is the funniest thing. So much fun. She's just amazing. Ice Ice Baby is a go-to, and it is hilarious. One time we did it, we stumbled upon a karaoke bar in Joseph, Oregon during Chief Joseph Days Rodeo. This was completely by accident. We hadn't had dinner yet, so we were literally just looking for somewhere that still was open that had food. So of course karaoke's happening, so Stephanie's going to get in on this, and Ice Ice Baby, of course. And you should see a bunch of cowboys watching 6 foot tall Stephanie Furlong singing every single word perfectly to Ice Ice Baby. Anyway, it's one of my favorite fun facts about you, Tim. But, you've done some other incredible things, from Prince of Egypt to all of the crazy metal bands that you've worked with, to some of the Christian music that you've done, the sound design that you've done. Of course, many projects with us that's just not nearly as cool as some of the other stuff that you've done. But yeah, can you walk us through like some quick career highlights? What are some of the moments that you're like, man, this is wild?
Golly, there are so many, and I get asked from time to time, What is your favorite?"
Hmm.
So I'll just tell you, and this is not that exciting for the average listener or viewer or whatever. One might think, well, it had to have been, this metal band, or it had to have been that metal band. All of those. I'll start off by saying, yes, I was a small part, as a mixing assistant with Pantera, Far Beyond Driven. That was
Hmm.
one of the records that we knew before it left the doorstep of the studio that it was going to be huge. We knew
Hmm.
that. But I was also, again, a part of a machine that was in
Hmm.
motion. Whatever you think about the band, that's one thing. But here's the one thing that I can tell you when it comes to the production side of it. We were kids in a candy store while being there in the studio, but there was no doubt this underlying understanding that this was business. Everybody always showed up every day on time, and we worked every day. It was 7 days a week for 7 months. Now, did we take breaks? Sure. When holidays came around, whether it was Christmas, and we did. We went through Christmas, New Year's, Halloween, Thanksgiving. We went through several holidays together. We would take a day or two for us to go back to our families. Now, you might think, and these guys, these are heavy people. They are great at what they do.
Hmm.
And a lot of people think, oh, it's just this or that, and these guys don't care about anything but them. The truth is that everybody that was a part of that, I'd take a bullet for any of them,
That's
anytime.
cool.
We've lost two of those guys, but along the way, that was the pinnacle, if you will, of my heavy metal portion. But I was doing heavy metal before all of that as well.
Sure.
Intertwined with all of that was, hey, we've got here's my one of my favorites is driving down 635 in Dallas Fort Worth. It's Friday afternoon. I get a phone call from Kirk Franklin's manager, his personal manager, and he said, "Tim, I need for you to be in Los Angeles Monday morning." And I'm going, okay, well, this is different.
Hmm.
And I said something to the effect. Now, let me kind of preface this by just saying I had been in talks with Kirk's people for a while. I had put away. Put away is probably the wrong word. I basically walked away from a year's worth of income because I had had enough of just heating the seat, if you will, for things that I didn't really care for
Sure.
all that
We
much.
all experience burnout when we're not pouring into the things that we want to do.
That's a really good word for it, but it actually was kind of spiritual too.
Yeah.
And so at that point is when I was approached by Kirk's family, if you will, and said, "Hey, we've had our eye on you for a while. Would you consider engineering for this record?" And that record wound up being the New Nation record.
Hmm.
At the time, I didn't know. For me, it was just kind of a no brainer because it was like first of all, I had no work going on. that could be one thought about it, but it's like I just went from this really dark thing to this
Mm-hmm.
really cool thing. And oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, by the way, we're going to be doing this in your backyard. Basically, we're going to be doing it at Dallas Sound Lab until we're ready to mix.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So one of my favorite stories is driving down the 635 in Dallas Fort Worth, and I get this phone call, and I need for you to be in Los Angeles on Monday. Okay, well, I've got a few questions of my own. How long am I going to be there?
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, it wasn't how much is it gonna pay me. That was not a part of the equation at all.
Sure.
It was basically I needed to let other clientele know that I was going to be gone for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard this big, deep sigh on the other end of the phone. He goes, I don't know. You may be there for 3 weeks. You may be there for 3 months.
Oh my gosh. Way to put life on hold, you know?
So I said, his name was Jesse Hurst. And I said, Jesse, I will be there. What all are we doing? And he said, you're putting this record back together.
Hmm.
That's all he said. I need for you to be there because we need to put this record back together. So I traveled with family. I traveled with Kirk and the family out to Los Angeles. We get there, and day one, I started realizing exactly what I had signed up for. Now, luckily, we wound up because the record label was there in Los Angeles as well. And that was kind of cute. That was kind of fun. If you
Cute.
talk to a lot of recording engineers, usually record label people being in your world
Space.
is not something that we all enjoy very much.
Sure.
And I say this lovingly. Without them, we can't do what we do, and so on and so forth. But the record label shows up about 2.5 weeks in, and they said, we don't want to put any pressure on you, but when are you going to be finished?
Oh.
And
Because
I
if it
said,
could have been
well,
3 months ago, that would have been nice, right?
yeah,
According to them.
yeah. And I said, well, here's what I can tell you. I think that we're making really good progress with everything. I think that we're going to be done within the month. And they said, well, that's great because we've got two other mastering facilities waiting for you to finish so that that we can get our product put out. Okay. Well, that is probably one of the most difficult, yet I would never trade it for anything times in my whole career.
Mm-hmm.
We were staying in a hotel next to the airport in Los Angeles, and the studio was up in the valley. And so even when I wanted to go to the hotel and go to bed, I had a target window of about 4 hours that I had to do it. And it's like, you're
Sure.
going to go, you're going to sleep fast, you're going to get up, and you're going to go again.
I might have been tempted to sleep on the couch in the studio.
Well, yes, yes, but there's just something about, as you well know, something about getting
Shutting
up
it
out
down
of
for a
that,
minute.
yeah, and walking away from that.
Mm-hmm.
So again, from there, I fast forward. We come into back home. We get the record mixed out in Los Angeles. We come back, and I think from there is when really I just started seeing all different kinds of projects kind of coming in.
Mm-hmm. Hey everybody, Natalie here. I hope you are enjoying this episode with Tim Kimsey with Audio Knuckle Busters. Man, he is a legend, whether you know his name or not. He's done some incredible things for the music industry, some even more incredible things for the film industry, and he's been just an excellent partner to us here at McFarland Productions when we're doing full production work, like things like Nice Job Cowgirl, Colorado Christian University series, and a number of other projects. We've done TV commercials too together. Anyway, Tim is a joy to be around. I hope you're loving this. We were going to leave this as one episode, but this is about an hour and 30-minute episode. We've decided to split it into 2 parts. This is part 1, week 1. So next week, if you come back, you can hear the rest of Tim's story, get to know him a little bit more, see what he does from the Ice Ice Baby moments, right? Man, he is a joy. We hope you're enjoying it, and we'll see you next week.